Hello everyone, welcome to Christian Weather Broadcasting. Repent and put your faith in Jesus, because only He can save you from hell. If you'd like to know more, check the gospel message in the description of this live stream. This is the channel's first live stream. We're going to be going live talking about Hurricane Idalia, which is a Category 2 hurricane as of now, with 100-mile-an-hour winds. Sadly, we won't be able to use windy.com because I'm not sure about the copyright uses of that website, so I'm not going to risk it with this video, but we will do a forecast on this storm. Alrighty, let's go to the satellite imagery for this storm. As you can see, we are looking at a Category 2 hurricane, and what's interesting here is you can see there's an eye that's starting to develop. Let me grab a different marker color there so you can see it better. So you can see an eye starting to develop there, and I'm also noticing some areas of bubbling up convection right in those areas with cold cloud tops. Now, as this storm's moving closer, thunderstorms are going to be moving on land. In fact, right here where you can see those areas of cold cloud tops bubbling up, those are areas where there are thunderstorms with decent amount of lightning in them. So if you're living in Orlando right now, you could be experiencing some thunderstorms. So for Florida, and especially down here near the Keys, y'all could be experiencing some thunderstorm activity. So if you live in Florida, do be expecting some thunderstorm activity coming today or tonight. And those outer bands of this storm are going to be moving closer to North Florida, so by this evening and tonight you will be experiencing thunderstorms from this system. Alrighty, let's go to the National Hurricane Center before we do anything more. Right now, winds are at 100 miles per hour, 972 millibars, and moving now at 16 miles an hour. Let's read through our key messages for Hurricane Idalia. Catastrophic impacts from storm surge, inundation of 10 to 15 feet above ground level, and destructive waves are expected somewhere between Alkilla River and Yankeetown, Florida. Life-threatening storm surge inundation is likely elsewhere along portions of the Florida Gulf Coast where a storm surge warning is in effect. Residents in these areas should follow any advice given by local officials. There is the potential for destructive life-threatening winds where the core of Idalia moves onshore in the Big Bend region of Florida, with hurricane conditions expected elsewhere in portions of the hurricane warning area along the Florida Gulf Coast. Strong winds will also spread inland across portions of northern Florida and southern Georgia near the track of the center of Idalia where hurricane warnings are in effect. Residents in these areas should be prepared for long-duration power outages. Damaging hurricane-force winds are possible in portions of eastern Georgia and southeastern South Carolina where hurricane watches are in effect. Areas of flash, urban, and moderate river flooding with locally considerable impacts are expected across the Florida Big Bend, central Georgia, and South Carolina through eastern North Carolina into Thursday. Before we talk about any of the effects, let's go to the cone of uncertainty. As you can see, forecasting major hurricane on landfall, Category 3 hurricane. You can see a tropical storm warning is still in effect down here. That may be one of the keys, I think. I could be wrong. Sorry if I am. But you can see there is a wind field on this, and as that moves inland, that's going to cause tropical storm winds. We have hurricane warnings up, and those go into Georgia because, as you can see now, that thing's going to be a hurricane crossing through Georgia because it's not going to rapidly weaken because it will be moving so fast. As you can see, there's now hurricane watches up, extending from part of Florida all the way up into South Carolina. Hurricane watch is in effect for those areas now as this storm is going to be moving by. We also have some new areas to watch. Tropical storm watches in effect for portions of North Carolina, and portions of North Carolina have a tropical storm warning. So the Outer Banks now have the possibility of tropical storm conditions coming from this system. Let's go to our peak surge forecast, and this is really what we have to pay attention to. From Aquila River down to Yankeetown, 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. So a very, very, very high amount of storm surge. As I've said in my previous video, if you can, get somewhere safer where that water won't come, because that water is so high it will probably go above the first floor of your house if you happen to live in an area that that storm surge is going to be very bad. So please leave and go somewhere else. I'll bring up a storm surge map to show you maybe a better view. With 3 to 5 feet around Carabel, and then Oklahoma River, 7 to 11 feet. Yankeetown to that town here, which I have always had trouble pronouncing, 7 to 11 feet, and then down to, down a little further, 6 to 9 feet, down to the Enclody River, and then Tampa Bay, 4 to 6 feet. So if you're in Tampa Bay, get ready for that. All the way down to, let's see, middle of Longboat Key, 3 to 5 feet, Englewood, looking like maybe 2 to 4 feet, Charlotte Harbor, 2 to 4 feet, all the way down to East Cape Stable with 1 to 3 feet of surge. Now, on the other side, we have 2 to 4 feet of surge, and the reason being is because it's going to be tracking along, here, let me read you all that. Along that general vicinity, the storm's going to be pulling in water into the coast, as I've previously said, and so that's the reason we will be seeing increased amount of storm surge in this area, around 2 to 4 feet, and about the mouth of the St. Mary's River, down to Flagler, Volusia, it looks like we could see 1 to 3 feet, maybe, of storm surge. You can see even up into North Carolina, there is a possibility of 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. Now, let's go to that other storm surge map I was talking. This is, here's the storm surge inundation map, and we'll see how far this is forecast to go in. So I'm just going to drag it along the coast here, especially where it's going to get bad. So, if you live in these areas where this is inundating, be ready to have some bad storm surge. As you can see along the coast and anywhere where there's waterways is where we can expect some very bad surge, especially right here in that Big Bend area where we're going to be seeing landfall. So if anybody lives in these areas, just get ready for some storm surge. Please pay attention to your local forecasting office. They'll be able to give you the best news on this. But if you live where storm surge is going to be bad, please evacuate to somewhere safe. Find a house or a shelter that can withstand the storm that will not be flooded out. So please be safe when it comes to this hurricane. Let's go to our wind speed probabilities. So, Big Bend of Florida, where this thing is coming on, making a landfall, 90% chance of tropical storm force winds. As you can see, Jacksonville area, down a little further, has 80-90% chance. And further down in North Florida, maybe from Daytona up, has a 60 to 80% chance of tropical storm force winds. Let's go to the hurricane wind speed probabilities. As you can see, where the landfall is going to occur, around 60 to 70% chance of hurricane force winds. Again, that will probably go up the closer we get to the actual landfall. 50-knot wind speed probabilities for Jacksonville area, around 20 to 30, and where this thing's going to make landfall, especially on the coast, 90% chance of 50-knot plus winds. 50-knot is 57 mile an hour, so that is about a very high chance where this thing is going. And again, those chances will go up the stronger and closer this thing goes. Here's our rainfall potentials. Again, Tallahassee is getting a lot of rain, 6 to 10 inches. And this is going up, as you can see, in the inland parts of Georgia, South Carolina, and it's also going up to North Carolina, where we can see that 6 to 10 inches of rain. And what this does is it causes the possibility of flash flooding. Now, Jacksonville is out of the rain forecast, as you can see, and luckily for Charleston, it is forecast now to have 2 to 4 feet, so maybe we won't get as bad a flooding in Charleston, though it's possible to get flooding in Charleston, because Charleston floods very easily. Let's take a look at our flash flooding. As you can see, Charleston is now in the slight 15% chance of flash flooding, so that is good because Charleston floods. But all the way from Tallahassee to Wilmington, Tallahassee, Augusta, and Wilmington are all in this. You can see that red area, that's a moderate, at least 40% chance of flash flooding. So if you live in those areas, get ready for the possibility of flash flooding. What time is this storm going to arrive as far as wind speeds? Well, Tuesday 8 p.m., which is tonight, you're going to see tropical storm force winds arriving in portions of southern Florida, so that looks like it may almost go to Tampa, but so I would say tonight Tampa will experience some of those. By Wednesday 2 a.m., those tropical storm force winds are moving inland, and then by Wednesday 8 a.m., those tropical storm force winds have moved up to around Jacksonville. So in the morning, tropical storm force winds are going to be at Jacksonville, and by later and by Wednesday 2 a.m., those winds are going to be moving on land, and that's only hours before this thing is going to make landfall. Let's go to this. Let's go to the Tropical Tidbits website. As you can see, there it is. It looks like it may be starting to get an eye. Let's go to our true color map here. Alrighty, hold on, it's loading. Alrighty, as you can see on this true color map, it is bubbling up near the center of the storm, and it does look like it is starting to form an eye. And as I said in my Franklin video, a pinhole eye on these things really means rapid intensification. So as we see this eye form, it'll, I think, give us some more clues to what it's going to do. To me, it does look like a small eye right now, but we'll just have to see what happens. So I think we'll know more as far as intensity by the 8 p.m. update, and so we'll hopefully know more on that end. So you can see it's definitely a definitely intensifying hurricane. They're expecting it to become a Category 3 on landfall, and it's starting to get its steam now. Water vapor, you can see there's water vapor in that thing. And let's go to our analysis tools. You can see warm water, where this is some very hot water. And hot water is hurricane fuel. That's why we're going to be able to see this intensify so quickly. The lack of wind shear that's affecting it. Yesterday it was pulling it. Don't mind that. That's Hurricane Franklin. It's not going to do any, I don't think, hurt any land. But either way, what was happening to this storm yesterday is that it was pulling in wind shear. Yes, it was yesterday, and that was keeping it a little weaker, but now that it doesn't have to deal with that, it can intensify as much as it possibly can before making landfall. Let's go to our spaghetti models for this thing. As you can see, the models are very close together now, bringing it right into the Big Bend of Florida, a little more west than it was originally, and bringing it up through Georgia and then out around South Carolina, maybe up as far as North Carolina and riding the coast. Our intensity guidance here is bringing it to quite a few, it seems like a few models now are bringing it to Category 3, majority bringing it to Cat 2, and some are saying it's going to weaken into a Cat 1, but that does not seem right, since we're already at a Cat 2. The National Hurricane Center is forecasting a 125-mile-an-hour Cat 3 hurricane on landfall with this storm. So that is what to expect with this storm. Alrighty, so hold on just a sec, and I'm going to give you a quick live look. Alrighty, everybody, it is time for a live look. Let me get this ready so you can see. Alrighty, everybody. Here, let me tilt that camera up a little more so you can see that better. Alrighty, everybody. Outside here, I don't think you can see me very well due to the lighting, but you can see some clouds out in the distance, but nothing too major. Luckily, where I am, it's going to be tropical storm force, probably. Wind speeds we'll get here, we may get less than that. But you can see right now some clouds. We had some storms come through. I don't think they may have been related to Idalia, but who knows. Later on this evening, I'll probably be getting some Idalia-related weather. As you can see the sun up there in the sky. But overall, not too bad. It was absolutely stunning this morning. But it shouldn't... But we may see some blustery weather conditions tomorrow. Alrighty, everybody. Here, let me go into lighting where you can see me a little better. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for watching. This has been Christian Weather Broadcasting. I will see you